Well, yeah, God, I think that's a good idea. Man, you're awesome. I just love you. Oh. Oh, hey, I didn't know you guys were here. Just walking around talking to God. He's awesome. So I was talking to God the other day, and we were just having a discussion about our neighbors. And I said, you know, God, what if people don't know who their neighbor is? Like, I've been telling people, love your neighbor. Like, reach out to your neighbor. Like, we are the church. What if they don't know their neighbor? And God says, as he does, says, I told you who your neighbor is. Like, I've already told you that. I was like, oh, yeah, right. So this is how you know who your neighbor is. Jesus told this story, and it's really one of the most straightforward stories he ever tells. There were some guys, and they were walking, not together, but as they were walking down this road from Jericho to Jerusalem, just a pretty good walk. Huge elevation change. So I think they'd be walking downhill. As they're walking, they come across a guy who's not having a very good day. He's got a frowny face. I don't know if you can see that. He's got a frowny face. So this first guy comes by. He's a priest, and he sees the guy, and he goes to the other side of the road and goes to do what he needs to do. The second guy does the same thing. Comes to the other side of the road and keeps moving. They were both in a hurry. They had things to do. They couldn't touch that guy because then they'd be unclean. But the third guy does something different. The third guy sees the guy who's having a bad day, who's hurt, and comes right over here. Now, what's interesting is the third guy is a stranger. But he comes over and he sees this guy and he says, oh man, you are hurt. This is not good. So, what does he do? He gets his horse. I'm going to draw a horse, Morgan. We haven't had horses in the building in a while, so... right there. Yikes. Morgan, we need you back in the building. So, what he does is he puts this guy on his horse. The hurt guy puts him on his horse and takes him to the inn. And then what's he do? He takes care of him. He puts him up in the inn, he gets him food, he puts ointment on his owies. He even tells the guy, the gentleman who's running the inn, he says, hey, here's some money. I'm going to go, but I want you to take care of this guy. Here's some money for his room. Take good care of him. If you need anything else, let me know, and I'll get you more so that you can take care of that guy. And Jesus asks a real simple question. Like, who's your neighbor? Who's being a neighbor here? Is it the two guys that go to the other side of the street and then go on their way because they're too busy? Nope. Again, this is one of the most straightforward parables that Jesus tells. The Good Samaritan, the Samaritan being a stranger, that was not a Jewish person. In fact, they kind of butted heads. They didn't really get along. But the Samaritan comes along, finds the hurt man, puts him on his horse, takes him to the inn, takes care of him. That's what we're going to do. That's our neighbor. Now, let's pull a couple things out of here for us. What did the Samaritan give to the guy that was hurt? Psst. Hit pause. Talk about it with whoever's right next to you. Here's the question. The Samaritan is the one that came and helped. What did he give to the man that was hurt? Hit pause. What did he give? All right, let's see if our lists line up. So, a couple of different things that I think he gave. I think he gave time. He gave the guy that was hurt time. These gentlemen went to the other side. They were in a hurry. They were busy. They couldn't be unclean. They had things to do. The Samaritan gave his time to this gentleman. What else did he give? Good, Hank. He gave money. He gave money. All in being a good neighbor. I think heart, I'm sure you have some really good answers as well beyond those. But two really important ones, I think, are time and money. Now, did the Samaritan live with the guy forever? No, he put him in an inn. He took good care of him. He did invest his money. Specifically says in Luke 10:25, you should read the whole parable as a family. Read Luke 10:25, that's the start of the parable, and you'll find out who your neighbor is. So as we go about our day, how are we going to go out and be good neighbors? Now, as this is defined, Jesus is defining really anybody you come across as your neighbor. Like, who are you supposed to love as your neighbor? Like, the person that you come across. You can invest your time, your money, and your heart into that person. Anybody you come across. But and I would say, who are you coming across most often? Who is it easiest, most convenient for you to come across? Like your literal neighbor, right? Like the person right next door to you or right across the street from you. How can you affect that neighbor? How can you be that neighbor that Jesus is talking about? How do we love our neighbor? It's actually a little bit trickier sometimes, I think, today. Because it is unlikely that you are going to find one of your neighbors on the side of the road, I hope. But it doesn't mean they're not hurting. And it doesn't mean that they don't need help or joy or peace or love. We all need those things. All of us need those things. So, are you going to find your neighbor on the side of the road? If you do, I hope you don't go to the other side. I hope you go and you help. But we need to go one step further. We need to figure out, where is our neighbor hurting? None of us are completely whole. We all have some place where we need help. So how can we look at our neighbors in a new way and see some place where we can help show our love, the love of Jesus, to our neighbors? And when we do, it is going to take some time. You should be ready to invest some money. I didn't say spend, I said invest. Investing money in the kingdom of God. That's what happens when you invest in your neighbor, and you're going to have to invest some of your heart. Let's find ways to do that. Can you put that in the comments? Doesn't have to be something you've done. Just go in the comments and just put, what are different ways that we can bless and help our neighbors? Go to Pinterest. Go to Pinterest and just put in bless your neighbor and see what kind of things pop up, right? I mean, you can look at great ways to grill next, or best destination vacations on Pinterest, but do that second or third. The first one, go to Pinterest and put in how to bless your neighbor. And then put some of those down on Facebook. Or just come up with some. We have fantastic ideas. Here in a second, we're going to be done. Pause, done. Before you go for the rest of your vacation day or your holiday weekend, whatever it is you all are doing, I hope you're doing awesome things that bless you, bless your family, and bless others. Before you do that, take a moment, put a comment in this little Facebook page right down here, and just put out some ideas how we can bless our neighbors. Again, you're going to invest time, you're going to invest money, you're going to invest your heart in your neighbor, and it's going to be worth it because you're investing in the kingdom of God. When the kingdom of God starts to grow and bubble up in your heart, it does the same thing in your friends and family. It'll do the same thing in our church. It'll do the same thing in our town. And when that happens, that's going to be super exciting. Man, I'm excited for that. Hey, I saved you a seat. Right now, there's some open seats right here in the building. We can start filling them the first Sunday in June. First Sunday in June. We're still going to do these video sermons. So if you're not ready to come back into the building, you can watch these online. There will probably still be a separate one just like this, and we'll have some videos in between. But if you're ready to come back to the building, it's ready for us. Again, I've saved you a seat. It'll be that first Sunday in June. I want to thank so many people for asking and all the encouragement. I just got a letter, which would be a great way to bless your neighbor. We had a neighbor that just blessed us by just sending an encouraging note and a donation to the church building, because she invested her time to write the note. She invested money in that donation, And I could tell in what she wrote that she invested her heart. It was such a thankful letter, and it was just so encouraging. So encouraging. Thank you so much, neighbor, for doing that. And when you do that, when you find a way to bless your neighbor, it's going to encourage them. It's going to build them up. And right, it's not going to be as dramatic as them on the side of the road, but gosh, we're hurting. We need encouragement. We need that love and joy and peace of Jesus, and you've got it to share and spread. Just throw it out there. You'll never run out. And every time you do, you're going to love it, and your neighbors will be blessed too. We're all better together. Don't be a stranger. We're all neighbors.